Hello everyone and welcome to the CGL Stage 1 playoffs in a GM. My name is Sam Tonks. Joining me is 2Tryhard Ray. Ray, we have an exciting matchup tonight for everyone because we're going to be seeing Cat Commanders versus Lijiang Legion. And like I stated a little bit previously, this is in a GM. So we're going to be looking at that high level octane, exciting gameplay.
Yeah, we have a lot to think about here. So these teams are fighting for map points on the line. Second and third place in this tournament, they get map points, and then first place gets a match point in their favor. So there's a lot to earn when it comes to seeding for the final playoffs. So it's going to be of the utmost importance. And the craziest thing, Sam, is we just had a patch that dropped today. So these teams have had absolutely no time to prepare for this new patch. We'll see if they are going to take any kind of new approaches given the new patch, or because they haven't had time, they're just going to stick to what they were playing before this patch dropped.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure that out, obviously, as the night goes on, and whether those changes are going to be enacted. Could be a surprise, maybe able to throw off the enemy or try to do something new and experiment in the middle of a tournament. Who knows? That's what the exciting thing is about when these patches drop. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket and see just how things have been going. You can see that as of right now, Cat Commanders, Lijiang Legion, and Shadow Monarchs 3-1-ing danger close. So whoever takes the win here in this matchup is going to be taking on Shadow Monarchs in the next match.
Yeah, it will determine who gets the match point and who is just getting map points. So it's a big deal to get a victory here today. So while we're talking about these teams, let's go ahead and pull up some rosters for you guys. First, we have the Cat Commanders, and one of their biggest assets to their team is their tank player. Slaying Beast is a monster on that tank role. Not to take away from the rest of their players, but Slaying Beast is definitely the player to keep your eye on for this team.
And of course, joined by Frank, Ethan, Espresso, and Brea, looking like a very solid contenders on this matchup here. So let's go ahead and take a look at Lijiang Legion next, where we are going to be having Random Rager, Potato Lord, Shadow Thief, Jabberwock, and Five. So this is really exciting, Ray, right? We take a look back and we think to ourselves, what could we be expecting? What could be happening? Well, we're going to find that out on our very first map, which is going to be on nothing better than Ilios. And this was a predetermined map. No one got to choose it. So this is kind of that even level footing and seeing which team is going to be able to come out on top with Ilios.
I'm actually excited for Ilios, Sam, because one thing when we were given the information about these teams, Shadow Thief, his most played hero and favorite hero to play is that Wrecking Ball. So are we going to see that kind of Wrecking Ball dive style? It is very playable, especially on the maps like Well and Ruins. It gets a little bit tougher to run on Lighthouse, but I can't wait to see that in action and how Cat Commanders are going to adjust to a possible Wrecking Ball composition, because that's one of the tanks you don't see too often when playing Overwatch 2 nowadays.
Yeah, and that to me kind of shows that how teams are going to be able to work around it, right? Something that you haven't seen in quite some time, but is still thrown at you. What is the plan? What is the action here? Do you still stick with something that you feel comfortable with, or are you going to try and match it up, right? Or do you want to hit the counters against it? Then you might want to see, if they do go the Wrecking Ball, is DPS going to be comfortable running that Sombra to try and maybe deal with it, or some different counter picks to potentially try and work around it? That's always what makes things interesting here. And so, regardless whether or not what could be going on, we do know at the very least where we're going to be going.
A little bit of an update.
It's actually,
yeah, we got told that apparently we were misinformed. The first map will be Oasis as the set map. So I kind of think it's still, my statement about the Wrecking Ball still applies. When it comes to gardens, you can definitely run the Wrecking Ball, a lot of area for you to play around with, and especially with City Center, that just open pavilion area is just a playground for Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, exactly. So that is going to be the fun thing. Wrecking Ball is still a pretty formidable tank to choose and to run with here. So we'll figure out whether or not exactly how well and how successful it's going to be. Speaking of tanks, right, there has been some tank changes that have happened in this patch, right, Ray? Some of the bigger ones are going to be Junker Queen, Orisa, and Zarya.
Yeah, Arisa is getting an interesting little rework. I haven't had enough time to absorb on how I feel if this is a buff or a nerf, but that cooldown for Fortify adds 4.5 seconds to it, but the cooldown starts as soon as you use Fortify. So that's kind of a big deal, but you also get less overhealth for the Fortify. So I think overall it's a nerf, so that's good because Orisa was just running shop in lobbies. And Zarya coming in with these bigger bubbles given to their allies and getting that extra health on the bubbles too can build that charge a lot faster. So are we going to start to see a little bit of Zarya peeking into the match? And Junker Queen had already been played at this point. So getting that extra damage for an impact on the knife is going to be a really key thing for Junker Queen and might make her that much more viable in the meta.
Exactly. So we're going to see whether or not the patch is going to impact thing here between our two teams. But of course, the doors are about to open. We're going to see what exactly is going to be those commanders. Here on the first step of
as we see that the Lijiang Legion are starting out as it sits with the Sigma with the Bastion Hanzo, which is a composition I am quite not used to seeing. So I'm going to focus a little bit on Cat Commanders because I'm not sure if Lijiang's going to actually walk out on that. Cat Commanders, no surprise here, especially Mei getting the buff. Added an extra, I think it was like 5 or 10 damage to her primary fire. It takes a little bit longer to get to the slowing effect, but you'll take that extra damage all day. So they're looking to rush in with this Junker Queen and look to wall off your Sigma, for example, that Lijiang Legion is actually going to come out on. So they need to keep their space.
And look at how fast Cat Commanders is getting onto the site itself. It was at breakneck speeds. They want to take this as quickly as they possibly can. And of course, on this Sojourn, building up towards railgun shots, looking for opportunities. And that is a beautiful wall right here, ready to start things off. The Immortality Field to try and stall it out for a little bit longer. And Shadow Thief placing that wall in the absolute perfect position. Random Rager and Potato Lord are going to fire through that hallway. It is the danger zone. And Cat Commanders falls. Lijiang Legion looking strong.
That was a perfect wall coming out from Eaton, but the problem was the Immortality Field coming out from Jabberwocky was even more perfect. Completely allowed Shadow Thief to live through that fight. Cat Commanders were then just forced with all that damage from the Bastion and the Hanzo.
Hopefully here, the Cat Commanders are going to be able to figure out a way to go up against Lijiang Legion. And the shield from Shadow Thief was perfection. We have another really good wall, but this time around, Shadow Thief managing to find the cracks inside of it to get to the other side. The Slaying Beast is going to get right in your face with his Junker Queen, but Random Rager inside of that turret form is going to scare them off. Potato Lord getting that damage boost on top of it as well is laying down so much damage that them trying to get, the Cat Commanders trying to get onto this point seems impossible.
And with the Kiriko Lucy, you don't have a lot of heals on the field for Slaying Beast, so it makes the positioning have to be that much more tougher and no commanding shout anymore.
And up in the air, the Gravitic Flux, right back down under the ground. Lijiang Legion, this is their map. This is their time. They are feeling it, just even at 50%.
It is ridiculous. And I don't know if you're Cat Commanders, I would just be so just flabbergasted by this composition that Lijiang Legion is coming out with. This is such an out there composition for this map. To see that Sigma with the Bastion Hanzo, it is just a whole new way to think about this map. So now you're going to have a Blizzard and the Junker Queen ult to work with here.
All right, artillery shells to start things off right into the dragons. Espresso's gonna be stuck inside of them. She's eaten alive by it. Now is back in the turret form, but the Blizzard is hopefully gonna freeze things out to potentially bring things back for the Cat Commanders. What an accretion ray from Shadow Thief, stopping Junker Queen from doing anything.
Wow, I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Just that perfect accretion at the right time, just so unfortunate for Slaying Beast, as that is a 100-0 first point cap for Lijiang Legion, and their unpredictability and just, I don't know, wild card composition is just playing so beautifully. The Sigma is just able to hold their ground, Shadow Thief, while you give the shield to allow Potato Lord to take angles, and then you have the shield for Random Rager to just unleash all that damage on the Bastion. As we see coming into now, as we head into Gardens, Cat Commanders taking a different approach. They are now going to pull out that Zarya that we mentioned we might see, and especially with the ability that we see Shadow Thief now on this Wrecking Ball, being able to give those bubbles to any kind of dive they make is going to be key for Cat Commanders.
Yeah, we're going to see if Cat Commanders are going to be able to make the adjustments necessary to not have that 100-0 thrown at them. A Shadow Thief is already going to be right in your face. At the very least, we're looking at a pretty good composition of them on the high ground, but what are you going to do to deal with this Pharah that's consistently throwing these missiles down on your face? Not only that, but it's the Pharmacy. So is that little bit of extra damage that's going to continuously be dealt to you and completely pushed off of the high ground. Shadow Thief is going to go in, start bullying them, but Taylor is going to continue to fight it out. This is unreal, though, that Brett is going to try and take them on. Shadow Thief, however, is going to be taken out of here, put back into the spawn room, and it looks like if you can't take on the Pharah, just take down who's on the ground, start killing them all, and come out the other side very successful.
I was going to say, that's kind of how you're going to have to play this game if you don't have a hit scan available, Sam, is if you just ignore the Pharah and kill the rest of the team. I mean, it's a dangerous game because the Pharah just gets ultimate value, being able to free fire on your targets. But we saw in that fight, Potato Lord could not find the picks, and in the meantime, Cat Commanders completely wipes out the rest of their team. That's going to be the win condition for Cat Commanders, is wiping out the rest of the team before this Pharmacy can get any kind of value.
Lijiang Legion, a little bit of trouble. Cat Commanders kind of getting a little bit of deja vu what happened on the previous map, but already off with the Wrecking Ball. Going to take advantage of the newly improved Zarya with those extra bubbles that are going to be put onto the allies. See how the engagement is going to go from here, but still going to be pushed back for a second. Lijiang Legion, Cat Commanders, this is aggression pushed forward to the next level, but Shadow Thief is going to be punished out from that. Another one is going to happen here. The rocket barrage is not going to be able to hit onto anybody. Lijiang Legion looking a little bit weak in this go-around here on Oasis.
They're just keeping their distance and keeping their sightlines away from Lijiang Legion and this Pharah. Potato Lord is not able to get anything. I mean, you saw the barrage come in. Nobody was even in sight. So Cat Commanders are doing a great job of avoiding the Pharah at all costs. And they haven't had to commit a single ultimate thus far, Sam. So you're going to come into this next fight. The EMP can win you a fight alone. And then you also have this Death Blossom you can throw in. So Cat Commanders are in such a strong position now.
And a little bit of poking from Eaton stall things out for a little bit longer. We do have that huge EMP gonna come online. You can see in the pit. Oh my word. Cat Commanders, they're not wasting any time. They want to do the same exact thing that was done to them on the previous sub-map, and it looks like they may be able to do it. 83%.
And they're going to have to deal with an incoming Graviton Surge with the ability to throw down the Kitsune Rush, and you have the sound barrier to sustain. They are relying heavily on Fives being able to sustain their team with the sound barrier.
And this is going to be the Kitsune Rush. They want to close things out here and now. Five's already committing on that sound barrier of a Slaying Beast. If they need to, can throw out the Graviton Surge. Everyone being sucked in, crushed by the power of gravity. Frank the Reaper, true to their name, taking souls, taking names, taking everyone to go along with it. The Cat Commanders doing exactly what happened to them. 100-0. Now we go onto our final round.
They say revenge is a dish best served cold, Sam, and that was cold from the Cat Commanders, taking it 100-0 right back at them. And now it's all going to come down to City Center. I talked about how this was going to be a very good opportunity, especially for the Wrecking Ball if Shadow Thief was going to play it. It seems like they kind of have given up that idea. The Zarya, if you could just get high charge on the Zarya, you kind of just melt that Wrecking Ball very quickly. As it sits, they're going to go to more of a Winston-style rush composition. It's very similar to the zombie comps we saw back in the day. They're playing that Lucio Moira with the Reapers. So one thing I'd be afraid of, again, is Slaying Beast getting up that charge. You can break that Winston bubble so quickly, and then you're going to melt the Winston. So Shadow Thief's going to have to be extremely careful of that.
That they are. Shadow Thief is going to be under a lot of pressure from this Zarya. How well are you going to deal with it? Of course, also the Reaper, Frank, who has been a consistent pressure on these tanks over and over. Ray? Something's wrong with that jump pad.
Yeah.
Something's very broken with that jump pad. You can see that Lijiang Legion also did not know what was going on there, but at the very least, it's not going to be to their detriment, so that's a plus. They're still getting kills, and they're still finding a lot of success and getting the picks that they need.
Yeah, especially with this Sombra in play for the Winston. I mean, you're going to win the first fight if you're Lijiang Legion, but I think Cat Commander's got a little bit more thrown off by that jump pad than anybody. So you got to come back. You have to deal with the Sombra. You have to deal with a Reaper. You have to deal with now a Diva. So you're going to go to the Diva, and those micro missiles can just apply that much pressure as we're getting full on display from Random Ranger. Like, what is this? This jump pad is not functional.
It's broken. They even did the little head shake. No. We can't use that anymore. High ground? What is that? No high ground here on Oasis anymore unless you're Winston or Diva. We're going to see if this Diva is going to make all the difference. Frank is going to get right in the face of Shadow Thief. So close to death, but they get out just in the nick of time, ready to hit the re-engage back to take this fight here. But Lijiang Legion looking very powerful, especially with Jabberwock already hitting the Coalescence, bringing Slaying Beast out of their mech. This is them pushing forward, and now we're seeing the aggression tenfold back from Cat Commanders.
I mean, it's very well played. If you're Lijiang Legion, you have to play this aggressively. As we always mention, that Moira has a limit on the heals you can put into these fights. So you gotta get in there, gotta get in there fast, and get those kills quickly. As we saw them aggress quickly with the Coalescence. Now, Cat Commander's gonna come back in. They have the EMP to be able to use here. So I think that alone is gonna set them up for a point flip.
Here it is already throwing out the EMP. It is going to be destruction, chaos, and then some. Hope you didn't need your cell phone because this EMP has come in big time for the Cat Commanders. Lijiang Legion going to lose the point at 71%.
And the best part is you exchange out that pulse bomb from Random Ranger. So it's a 1-for-1 trade. So that's very beneficial for the Cat Commanders because they have a lot of percentage points to make up here. The good thing is for Frank, we have a battle of the Death Blossoms, but Slaying Beast has a defense matrix. So you got to favor Frank coming into this next fight in the Death Blossom battle.
Yeah, it's going to be the realization of when that Death Blossom is going to be going. Also knowing where Reaper is. But Shadow Thief is going to go down. Frank, however, is going to follow. They're going to keep an eye. They need to keep an eye on Potato Lord. They cannot let that Death Blossom go away. But Random Ranger is turning out to be a Death Blossom of their own. The Tracer is going to be putting in the work in and of itself. And now they may not even need it for this team fight. Up in the air goes the self-destruct, but no one to be caught in it, and there we have it. Potato Lord, angry and filled with fury, ready to start blasting away. The point still not being flipped just yet. But now we're looking at that possibility. Frank needs to get out of there or die to get the reset.
They are going to get at least one more fight. It's final fight territory for Cat Commanders. Lijiang Legion has this Coalescence in their hand once again. We saw how aggressive they got last time, and they are looking to take that position once again. Frank has to come through with the hero play on this Death Blossom. You cannot allow yourself to get picked off in this fight. It's got to come through big.
Gonna come through big, already going to the back line though. Shadow Thief, we're gonna see that being used now. Breaks all the opportunity and they're gonna go ahead and take it. Beautiful work from Slaying Beast and Brett to protect their Reaper inside of it. Now Shadow Thief having to do whatever they can, maybe inside of this Primal Rage. What a snipe in the head from Frank. And now we have the point flipped once more at 98%.
And you got both the Coalescence and the Primal Rage out of them. So that is a huge win for Cat Commanders. Eaton is so close to this EMP, and as this fight takes longer and longer to engage them, this might turn out to be final fight territory for Lijiang Legion. So they're really hoping Random Ranger can find the pulse bomb stick and open things up.
Random Ranger, a lot on their shoulders. They're looking. You can see they're sneaking around. Maybe able to catch someone here. It's got to be not eaten alive. It does get the stick, but still, it doesn't matter because Slaying Beast's defense matrix is coming in to save the day once more. Now we're going to see if Lijiang Legion can recover from it, but it might be just that much more difficult inside of this EMP. But no, Lijiang Legion, doesn't matter if an EMP is going to catch everyone inside of it. They're still going to make the necessary adjustments. Even with that going up in the air, it is the point flip, and it is map number 1 to Lijiang Legion. But Ray, what a map number 1. 100-0 the first 2 rounds, and then basically 100-100 here in the final one.
Ridiculous clutch factor coming out from Lijiang Legion, and big props to their Lucio, man. Being able to survive after that EMP was able to get out of there just in time before they could get focused down, then you're able to provide that extra healing and speed boost to the team. So it kind of just took all of the value out of that EMP that Eaton had set up so well for. But I mean, shout out to both teams. It's been highly competitive map between both of these teams. So I'm looking forward to how things progress through the series. This is just a great way to start it off.
you get in your head, right? You see the 100-0 on round one, and you're like, oh my gosh, is Cat Commanders is their head in the game right now? And then they come back and do 100-0 on round two, and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then obviously in round three, it went basically the whole distance, just falling a little bit short. Then you also had to imagine in your head what could have been if the jump pad was working. that not working really does throw a wrench into, I'm sure, what a lot of strategies and a lot of plans are, but still really good adaptation from both of our teams. It's just, like you said, Lijiang Legion has that clutch factor, that way to see themselves through. And in doing so and in making that happen, right, you survive through an EMP, Ray, that hit almost everyone from Lijiang Legion. That is unreal to be able to do that and then be able to close things out in such a spectacular fashion that they did. And especially, it felt like things were going to go downhill when we saw the pulse bomb not land. It did. It didn't really seem to matter, though, because they were still able to find their way through.
Could not agree more. As we do know for Cat Commander specifically, that because they lost the first map, we are in a loser pick scenario, and we have that map pick in for them. And I feel like it's never a surprise, especially in CGL. We're going to hybrid. It's King's Row. Like, it's never a doubt in my mind.
It's King's Row. You can always bank on the possibility, if it's a choice, go into King's Row. And it's been interesting, right, Ray? Because we haven't seen King's Row ourselves in quite some time. We haven't had the chance to talk about it much lately. And I feel like it's been a nice little vacation, but I've kind of missed King's Row a little bit. I've kind of missed the streets of London.
Yeah, what were we? We were in like Numbonnyville for like the longest time. Yeah. so now we finally get to go back. I agree. It's been a minute since I've casted a King's Row match, so I'm very excited. I think especially when we saw that Junker Queen composition coming out on from Cat Commanders on University, that composition could lend itself very well on King's Row. Zarya still always going to be a good being able to push those chokes very well with those bubbles. Any kind of brawl, whether it's a Reinhardt, whether it's an Orisa, I think it favors Cat Commanders pretty well. I think it was a good choice from them.
I think so too. And so whether or not this is going to work out well for Cat Commanders, right, with it being Scrim's Row, everyone should be feeling comfortable here. I did like their Zarya play a lot, though. I think their Zarya was incredible, and I think that them bringing it out on that round two on Gardens of Oasis worked out really well for them, and they also matched Zarya. Here's the thing, though, right? When it comes to King Row, Lijiang Legion can also look towards using Winston again, and that Winston-style composition that they had was near perfect. It obviously helped them get through to the end of Oasis and take that first map of Oasis. So you have to wonder what the strategy adaptation is going to be. I also wouldn't mind if we saw that Junker Queen again. I don't know if we will, but I kind of liked it. I was like, it's fast paced. You go in there quick. You try to execute quick. It was just the way that the Sigma was done by Lijiang Legion. It was actual chef's kiss.
Especially with Mei getting the little buff she got to where, it's an extra 5 per second. It takes an extra 0.1 to slow, but I mean, you will take that every day and you still get the bonus damage from her quick melee on the deep chill. So on a more close quarters map like King's Row, I think the ability to come out and play the Mei, and we saw Cat Commanders do that on University, gives them quite the advantage, because King's Row is built on chokes, and being able to put up a Mei wall in the middle of the choke and wall off a tank is going to be very valuable on this map.
It is indeed going to be very valuable, and we've seen it time and time again. That's one of the staples of King's Row is a Mei. For as long as you can use her and as long as you can make use of it, she is a very, very valuable hero in stopping up choke points and catching out tanks that may be a little bit too bold without the rest of their team. The way, though, that the survivability comes in for both of them, though, especially for Lijiang Legion, I think was really awesome to see in how they're able to save Sigma, and you really do have to give it to Shadow Thief. Their survivability in ways that I thought that they were going to fall and die. They got bailed out by their team, by Baptiste with their immortality field, but even through that, a kinetic grass that came in clutch and putting their shield in just the right place to stop the rest of the incoming damage. Shadow Thief really knows how to play their tank, but on the flip side, right, Slaying Beast also a true to their name beast of a tank. And so we can't really discount either one of these teams, especially not what happened on Oasis. There's not really any inkling of an idea of what could potentially be the victors here.
As we'll take a look at this defense for the Cat Commanders, it looks like they are going to elect to play this more of a Orisa style composition, and they're gonna, of course, you're gonna have that Baptiste, because being able to have that immortality field for the Orisa, especially now that she's had that slight nerf to the Fortify, is going to be a big deal. But they're gonna go with Sojourn Torbjorn, so the Torbjorn's going to deter any kind of flankers. If it's, you know, a Tracer, a Genji, a Sombra, whatever, it's gonna bother them. A Pharah, we saw Lijiang Legion playing the Pharah on Gardens. For Lijiang Legion, looks like they're going back to the Sigma. It seems they have a really big affiliation for it. It's all, I mean, it feels like this is Escort. Like they're playing what you would play on Circuit Royale at this point. Double sniper with Sigma, Baptiste, Zenyatta.
Speaking of which, we do have a substitution easy sniper in for Random Rager. Didn't find any heads with the Widowmaker there. Cat Commanders are not going to give them that, so back over onto the Sojourn. It's already going to be on point, taking a lot of damage, Shadow Thief, from the Torb turret up on the high ground, and we're seeing Brett on the Alari. It's just unfortunate, though, that Frank could not keep their heads on their shoulders. Potato Lord looking to put that Hanzo to good use, and indeed so the Archer is getting everything that they need, finding a lot of final blows and making the Cat Commanders get out of there and giving Lijiang Legion point A.
I mean, very impressive from Potato Lord. The Hanzo, that's what he's known for, is finding those picks in the mid-fight just like that. So, and that, I mean, you take out the enemy Sojourn, I mean, you're looking pretty good if you are Lijiang Legion. As the Cat Commanders, they got to be careful. They could be looking at getting staggered here if they're not careful.
Easy sniper, it really is just easy like that for them. Ace non-stop from Potato Lord and the Lijiang Legion. They're going to continue to push Cat Commanders back, catching a little bit of them inside of that Dragon Strike. But Ray, I mean, look at how far they've managed to do. But and the payload is still just barely making its way through the corner.
I agree, but you've been able to take a stronghold. I mean, look at Slaying Beast. He has to use the Fortify and back up because of how low he is, because of the pressure that Lijiang Legion is continuing to apply. And they're going to be able to have an amplification matrix to continue this pressure.
This is unreal levels of push coming from Lijiang Legion. Slaying Beast already has to get out of there. Look at how close they came to imminent death. We're going to see Brett maybe with his captive son could put some heat down onto Lijiang Legion and burn through them. It's going to go up into the air from the amplification matrix. The sun does go out. Shadow Thief does fall. And indeed so, we're looking at the damage being done. Brett is going to continue the assault, followed up by Frank and the rest of the team. Lijiang Legion finally falls, but Ray, look at the cart distance that was given to them.
It's a lot of card distance, but the captive son is able to staunch the bleeding for Cat Commanders. And they had to use a window there to counteract Jabawaki's window as well. So, I mean, you're going to have 3 ultimates for Cat Commanders, but Easy Sniper has been crazy finding these heads, and they're going to have an overclock, but they find the Baptiste, so that's going to buy them a lot of time.
It is going to buy them a lot of time. Eaton needing to come up with some heads of their own. We're able to find out one. Shadow Thief is still going to hold up this advanced position. Kinetic Grasp has been used, giving them that extra overhealing on the shields. And of course, looking for the opportunity to set themselves up with Easy Sniper. I wouldn't be surprised if we have the Gravitic Flux overclock combo going on here. It's still holding off at this corner. It's going to be difficult to get by the pub, especially with how well Cat Commanders are playing through this. We're going to see the dragons being put forth, and now it's going to be the opportunity here as the Accretion Rock goes out. The Gravitic Flux is going to be going along with it, and here it is, the overclock to be used inside of the Dragon Strike as well. Everything is being eaten, and Easy Sniper eating good too with this overclock. Lijiang Legion, just like that, at a moment's notice, is going to be able to take back the payload.
I do think Cat Commanders are going to have an opportunity to touch here because of how far the cart had fallen back, and they used 3 ultimates in that fight. They comboed the dragons, the flux, and the overclock, so that is a lot to throw into that fight. So Cat Commanders have this captive son once again.
Oh, stopped it just right at the time! But even through the Terror Surge, Slaying Beast could not survive. Fives is going to pop the Transcendence. Better safe than sorry. Lijiang Legion is going to get that point B.
I'd say that's the only consolation prize you get out of that touch was you pulled out the Transcendence, but I'm very surprised. It seemed like the team was not on the same page on whether they wanted to push in there. Slaying Beast was all by himself with no backup whatsoever, so Lijiang Legion, they seem to be much more on the same page right now. as you don't have any ultimates to really work with here. So this is Cat Commander's position chance to finally take some positioning away from Lijiang Legion.
Yeah, hit with the stun, putting him out of the kinetic grasp with the accretion rock. Eaton is going to get Jabberwock again, but Slaying Beast is falling. Thankfully, Eaton is doing enough possibly by themselves, especially in this off-angle position. Beaten out by Potato Lord, maybe enough damage has been done here, but without your tank, it becomes so difficult to fight things out. The kinetic grasp is going to slow Frank for just the moment, but once the amplification matrix comes out, you're going to try and see some railgun shots being used in the overclock pop by Frank. Potato Lord falls, and now we're going to see another Gravitic Flux from Shadow Thief. They need to get rid of this Sojourn, or at the very least, this Illari, and wow, what a recovery here from Lijiang Legion. It looked like things were going to fall at its worst point for them, but they're still coming up with the kills that they need to fight things out, and they're going to get all of the way through, Ray, with 3 minutes and 5 seconds. At the very end there, it was basically the Shadow Thief easy sniper show.
That was insane from Lijiang Legion, and to get over 3 minutes on the clock for King's Row is just ridiculous, as this Potato Lord easy sniper combination with Shadow Thief just being able to enable them constantly is just beautiful. Potato Lord's able to take those off angles, and then you have Shadow Thief who can just provide the shield to either sustain himself or give easy sniper better opportunities to peek and take that aggressive rail shot and find those picks. This composition from Lijiang Legion, it's not a super conventional composition for hybrid, but they are making it work out beautifully, as Cat Commanders have not found an answer yet. They're going to have to find something, as it looks like they're going to elect to go with more of a Zarya-based rush composition.
And I think for the Cat Commanders, that's a good idea, right? That found them a lot of success on Oasis. It found them the round in a very obvious, convincing fashion. And so if they could potentially find that again here, especially against Lijiang Legion, with how powerful they're feeling, how unstoppable they're feeling. I mean, 3 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. That is a generous time bank. Cat Commanders has to find their way to, at the very least, match that. And if best case scenario, exceed it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to find a way to match. I mean, you have to finish with time regardless. You cannot be in a loser draw situation if you are the Cat Commanders, because keep in mind, this is a first 2-3. So this attack here is going to be extremely important, because being able to try and pull off a reverse sweep if you drop this map is just going to be that much tougher, as it just feels like all the momentum right now is in favor of Lijiang Legion. They just cannot find an answer to this Sigma-based poke composition they've been playing constantly.
And we really do have to give it, I think, to Shadow Thief, right? On the success of this team. They have found so many openings and opportunities, especially where things seem lost. And I don't think there's any better example of that than the final few meterage here on King's Row. That should have been an easy wipe up for the Cat Commanders, but somehow Shadow Thief is able to recover so perfectly. A Gravitic Flux to close things out. And you think to yourself, wait a minute, this shouldn't be happening. This should not be possible. But Shadow Thief is showing us what is possible from impossible.
As, again, I mean, we are so used to saying Sigma is basically a Circuit Royale character or nothing. So to see him coming out of the woodworks on so many different maps now, there's been 2 different ones, and to see him played to the level he's played is just very impressive from Shadow Thief. So just huge shout outs to them, as Lijiang Legion has really found an interesting angle composition-wise to really throw teams off.
Yeah, and this is just going to show you the chaos that a new patch causes, right, Ray? In what it does to players and how they adapt and some of the new things that they bring in to try and, okay, we'll experiment, we'll do some new things here. It's been so much fun, and I've been like really enjoying what we've been having out of our 2 teams so far.
I have definitely been enjoying this so far. I mean, I think these last few patches have been really nice, just being able to see the diversity in compositions. It's not just play Winston, Tracer, Sombra, and win. Like it's a lot different. You're able to impart more of your team's identity and flavor onto this meta, and it's just we're seeing that out of both of these teams so far.
Absolutely. But we do want to go to a quick break. Unfortunately, one of the players has lost their power. So until they get that back, that's when we'll be back. So we'll see you then. Okay, so bear with us here as we're about to explain something very interesting. Cat Commanders are the one who lost their player, and so they have decided, in a very interesting move, in my opinion, Ray, to go ahead with the map and 4v5 it out. The player that they're missing is a support, so this is going to be a very interesting round of King's Row.
More like quick.
I
just don't see in a competitive setting like this somehow making the 4v5 work, as they are just going to have to go full cheese. We're seeing them do exactly that. Pharmacy with the Roadhog and the Soldier. They're just playing a pick composition, hoping to give them the advantage. They found Potato Lord.
Wait a minute, is the 4v5 comp the new meta? 4 players, you don't need the stinking 5th one. Just stay up in the air and start blasting away. An opportunity as they see Zenyatta 5s by themselves, but brought down to the ground. Eaton is going to get their life eaten away. So even without Potato Lord, Lijiang Legion is still going to be a force that you have to contend with. I think the real big issue that just comes along, Ray, is that, you know, missing a healer becomes so difficult to stay alive, missing that extra one.
Look, I'm just going to put it out there, Sam. If they can even cap this point, I'd consider it a win for Cat Commanders. Like, that would be insane.
I think at that point we just give it to Cat Commanders, right? They get point A, because there's still him to go up against Lijiang Legion on this insane composition that won them the first round of King's Row. Fives gets to throw out the Discord orb. Frank, though, Jabberwock, a really good hook. But Potato Lord is going to throw it right back into their face, still up in the air. Eaton is still, there's so much damage being output, so much pressure that they've been put under. They do have the Rocket Barrage. This could change the entire course of the map for Cat Commanders if they can lay it down, but Slaying Beast needs to get their health back up the pool. They cannot fight without the health in their pocket.
Then you're going to have to push up and allow the space for Ethan as the barrage.
Oh, it's the Immortality Field. The Kinetic Grass slows things down, and that is beautiful from Lijiang Legion to recognize and to understand what exactly is going to happen on the other side of this wall. They want to try and get rid of Fives, but it's not going to be happening, especially with Frank falling to that Disruptor shot. Easy Snipers built them up to an overclock, but you don't need no seeking overclock. They're just doing it now to BM and to snipe everyone out of the air. Just like that, Cat Commanders has fallen once more.
Oh, they were so close to a tick, Sam. So close. As Slaying Beast is now going to swap over to the Reinhardt. So this is going to allow him to be able to push up a little bit more with this shield and try and get into the face of Shadow Thief. But they're going to have 3 ultimates to work with. Again, tough sledding once again for the Cat Commanders.
And I think the biggest issue that you just got to keep running into is the unbelievable output of damage from Lijiang Legion, right? You're going to be at all ends. That shield is basically paper thin. And so is Frank, as it turns out, also paper thin. An initial pick like that is going to be disastrous for Cat Commanders. You need every member that you can get. 3v5 is just not going to work.
That it is not, and they're able to win that without committing an ultimate, just getting that open pick from their hits from their DPS players. So it's just continuing to snowball for Lijiang Legion. This is just gravy. Like I mentioned, it would be a miracle if we even see the first point capped in a 4v5.
A miracle indeed, but already a Gravitic Flux pulling them up in the air. Slaying Beast is going to beat gravity at 1,000 miles a minute, and that is once again Shadow Thief giving us the complete lesson, textbook lesson on the mastery of Sigma.
As Slaying Beast in the chat says, this is so real. As well, they're going to have double DPS ultimates and the Valkyrie to sustain them through the fight, but Lijiang Legion's going to have that Transcendence and an Amplification Matrix. Cat Commander's got to be very weary of that sustained damage combo.
Oh, maybe. Nope. All right, Slave Beast. I thought the Dragon's coming through to save the day, but Shadow Thief is an expert when it comes to throwing things back in your face. Lijiang Legion, it seems like the 4 players of Cat Commanders, it was going to be impossible either which way, but still a pretty good attempt from them, Ray.
That it was. 8 seconds left on the clock. Slaying Beast's going to be able to touch. Maybe a Miracle Rocket Barrage from Ethan, but they're going to have the Immortality Field.
Oh! Okay.
3v3,
Fives is still going to take them down, but both of your DPS are gone. Five says you don't need no sneaking DPS. Not as long as you're here. Not as long as this Yada is fighting it out and they're still alive. They have a will. They have a way to get back into it. But what an explosive end here from the Cat Commanders trying to take that point A. Lijiang Legion looking at their second point of the evening and our glimpse into what Overwatch 3 could potentially look like.
They tried their best in the 4v5. They almost pulled off a first point cap. They could have just gotten those last few kills. It would have happened. But now Lijiang Legion's able to take a 2-0 lead and put themselves on match point. And, I mean, again, they just got to be feeling very excited as they have a chance to, at the worst case, get some map points in their favor. But they'll have a chance to move on to the next round and play for a match point.
Yes, indeed so, but we still have to wait and get that player back before we can actually start on to the next map. So once again, until we get that player back, we're going to go to a break, so don't go anywhere. This is going to be an interesting potential end to this series. Well, coming back from a break after we had an exciting 4v5 with the Cats Commander losing one of their own, we are going into what could potentially be our next map. Don't worry, they did get their player back, so we're not going into another one. But Ray, I think this one is really exciting, right? Because this is our brand new Overwatch 2 game mode, Flashpoint. And so now we are going on to Suravasa.
I'm very excited. I can't wait to cast some Flashpoint. I think it's a very exciting, very fun game mode. You know, being able to just have that element of the randomness. Even when I've been playing Flashpoint, I feel like even if you go down 2-0, it never feels over. There have been plenty of Flashpoint games I played where we go down 2-0 and we're able to snowball and get the next 3 points back to back to back. So never say never on these types of maps.
Exactly, and that's what is going to make Flashpoint so interesting. It being a relatively new game mode still in competitive in the competitive scene, right? We've only seen most of it on Overwatch League, and now we have to do a new patch, and so everything is kind of up in flux, and that's what makes, I think, Flashpoint so interesting. And it's basically just like a whole new way of playing Overwatch, right? Where it's you see it a lot on King of the Hill, right? Where the two teams are going to clash in the center for something, but then you lose that sort of a fixed nature, right? Of King of the Hill, of control points. And so with that randomness element being thrown in, you really have to adapt your strategy on the fly. You had to figure out how you're going to take on that next flashpoint.
And it's always interesting, teams taking different approaches to whether they want to let a point go and set it for the next one. I've seen plenty of opportunities in my Flashpoint games where you can catch some players off by themselves once a point's done, and you're able to pounce and just take them out and then take a good 5v4 in the next fight. So there's a lot of strategy and a lot of like situational awareness and knowing what's going on with the enemy team at a given time to be able to give yourself crucial advantages in different fights.
Yeah, and it's those crucial advantages, obviously, that are going to give you that leg up. It's just, when do you press those crucial advantages? How are you going to go about getting them? And I'm so glad you also mentioned, Ray, the idea of, all right, this point's not working out well for us. Let's go ahead, set up on the next one so we can try and fight it out there. Those little strategies when it comes to game modes like these is always so interesting, right? The idea of not putting all of your chips on the table right away, and how these two teams are going to adapt is going to be so important, right? Time and time again, adaptation is so important, especially on Flashpoint, and especially with Lijiang Legion being on that series point. Cat Commanders needs to dig deep inside of themselves to get the victory here, to stop the win for Lijiang Legion.
Could not agree more. Backs against the walls for the Cat Commanders. Can they find the composition that's going to get them at least a map point and bring this to a map number 4? As we load into Saravasa, you get to see the beauty that is this map of India. And we all know when it comes to Flashpoint that first point is always going to be market. So being able to get a good decisive first point win, then you're able to, you have a general idea where their spawn is, so you know where to start holding defensively. As we see, Cat Commanders, they're going to go back to that tried and true. They have Atomic Man in, so they got Slaying Beast over on the support. On the Ana, I think that's partly because they couldn't get their player back, so they're swapping things around. So Atomic Man, I've known him very well back in the days when he was in like the Platte kind of district area, made his way all the way up to the GM area. So being able to play this Tracer Sombra, though, that's going to require a lot of coordination coming out of these Cat Commanders. But Lijiang Legion is back on that tried and true wrecking ball with the pharmacy.
Indeed so, and getting that little bit of an extra speed boost, of course, from Lucio is going to get them there through that flashpoint just that little bit quicker and allow Potato Lord to start setting themselves up with those rockets and already laying out so much damage. The bubble managing to stop out a little bit of the killing blows, but Potato Lord is not going to let that slow them down for too much longer. Lijiang Legion is going to start working their way on that flashpoint.
It's really tough, Sam, when you're going against more of this this dive kind of style composition where you have a ball tracer syncing up, especially on a Kiriko. As we see Sukaneko now going over to the brig, just the Kiriko provides no ability to help out your Ana, and they're just like a sitting duck, and we saw that play out. Slaying Beast was the first one to get taken down. Atomic Man's now going to swap over to the Diva, which is going to help them try and deal with this Pharaoh as they have no hit scan.
What a beautiful sleep from Slaying Beast, though. Got Shadow Thief right out of the air, barely able to get away with their life. The anti-nade was on them as well. They still just have to deal with Potato Lord, who's up in the sky, raining the fire down from above. But as of this moment, Lijiang Legion is sitting very good in the percentage that they've gotten so far.
That they are more and more percentage keeps taken up on Marquez. They're going to be able to get a touch here, but Potato Lord is just looking pretty with this Mercy Pocket.
And easy sniper, gonna blow the doors wide open. Tsuchiniko falls to that pulse bomb, and Potato Lord is continuing to apply the pressure on Atomic Man, brought out of their mech. Now all that's left is getting rid of Baby Diva and finishing up the last little bit of percentage.
And the later you can stagger the Baby Diva, the better, because that's only gonna make their next push that much easier, as we are going to get the next point being, looks like hasn't said yet. Is it Garden? No, it's Palace. Okay, we're going to be at Palace, which is going to be big because there's, especially whoever can get this point first, there's just main chokes to always push in through. This is a very holdable spot if you get the point first.
And look at how aggressive Potato Lord wants to go in there. So right at the very end, the dying gas puts off the rocket barrage and takes out Slaying Beast. Both of the supports gone. for the Cat Commanders, but they're still going to try and fight it out here, maybe be able to find an opportunity, but it's really going to become so much more difficult when you don't have any of that sustainability to go along with it. Ooh, that's going to be a dangerous self-destruct if anyone could be caught inside of it, but Atomic Man is going to fall to the mines from Shadow Thief. We're still not going to see the flashpoint capture just yet. Eaton going to stall it out for a moment, but inevitability is here.
As Bosek gets the pick, but they're going to find more. The Nano Boost going to provide a lot of damage, but it just isn't enough. They have to find something with this Pulse Bomb, Sam.
They have to. It is nothing but a necessity. EMP catching the two eyes, the two nuisances in the sky. Potato Lord Eaton is not going to deal with them any longer. Fives is going to give the team that sound barrier at a desperate moment where Jabberwock really needed it. Right back in there. Bosek is going to catch him in a really good stick onto Shadow Thief, followed up by a perfect anti-nade, puts him down into the ground, and finally Cat Commanders gets to get some flashpoint of their own.
DPS for Cat Commanders coming through strong with that EMP Pulse Bomb combination, but Slaying Beast also had a very big anti-nade in the middle of that fight onto Fives the Lucia. They could have stalled out and gotten more percentage, and they are just continuing to find these staggers. Cat Commanders have finally found their footing, Sam.
And I think we're starting to understand what you said earlier, Ray, about things are not over until it's over. This flashpoint is still being fought for. Jabberwock is going to revive Easy Sniper, get them back into the fight as quickly as they can. No point in stalling things out any longer. Potato Lord is having a bit of difficulties making their way through the archway. It's so much more dangerous when you're not the one in control, but they see their target, they see their opportunities. They're going to try and call it out, but brought down to the ground. Eaton is not letting Potato Lord get away with anything anymore. But Shadow Thief, the expert at drawing things back into the favor of Lijiang Legion. Both supports gone once again for Cat Commanders, and now Atomic Man, built up to the self-destruct, is going to try and blow the doors wide open for Cat Commanders to get their footing back on this point. Brought out of it, the self-destruct is going to be committed, so at least throw them back and draw them some more precious percentage. A stick is going to go out onto the mech once more. Atomic Man going to take so much damage through it. They're going to try and get out of here, but brought into overtime. Lijiang Legion looks like they're fighting it out perfectly, and they're going to get it back.
Very well played by Lijiang Legion. It did cost them their Valk, but they get to come in defensively. Because of how fast this ticks up, we're probably looking at one more fight for the Cat Commanders. So I'm looking at these DPS once again. They came through big to get them the point to begin with. Can they come through once again and allow them to tie this up 1-1 moving into point number 3?
We're going to see. It's going to have to be now or never, at the very least, for this point. Eaton brought out of it. Potato Lord. It was a rocket right into the face of Bosek. That is not going to work out for the Cat Commanders. They didn't touch in time, Ray, and Lijiang Tower has the second point under their belt.
Lijiang Legion has, yeah, now we get to see this fight take. This is what I was talking about. Being caught in rotation in the middle of these points. It is so bad for the Cat Commanders. They're all going to be sent back to spawn, and Lijiang Legion is just going to be able to take a defensible position on the point for free here in Ruins.
Just roll right into there. Look at that. Shadow Thief is just so casual about it, too. Lijiang Legion feeling kind of unstoppable, Ray. I had to be like honest here. Cat Commanders is just having so much difficulties. They may be able to do it again with this EMP Pulse Bomb combo. Eaton's found a lot of success in that, but Lijiang Legion already has the point.
And you got 4 ultimates for Lijiang Legion. They have the ability to sustain here with the sound barrier if the Lucio can stay out of range.
Oh, but Lucio Fives couldn't do it just in time. Delayed a little bit in that, but Potato Lord, it's all ultimate city here for Lijiang Legion, and they just cannot stand up to it. Pulse Bomb goes out. Atomic Man can't stay in the mech for too much longer before being brought out of it, and Lijiang Legion wiping the floor with Cat Commanders.
You trade out 2 ultimates for 3 for your Cat Commanders, but it does not matter. Lijiang Legion's going to have the Mines and the Valk to be able to... The Mines can just cut off your entry point or, you know, separate your supports from the rest of the team. And then the Valk is just going to be there to be able to sustain as Bosek is now going over to the Soldier 76 to try and find some kind of rhyme or rhythm to try and deal with this pharmacy.
Oh, and already you're just going to see Shadow Thief pull it right in with the Mines. Bosek, though, an excellent pick right off the rip. Easy Sniper taken out of the battle of this team fight specifically. Now it's time to push forward. Jabberwock couldn't get away to safety in time. A good hack is going to bring Fives down to the ground, and Eaton is looking for Potato Lord in the air. Shadow Thief, the only one remaining, brought into overtime for Lijiang Legion on this point, but Cat Commanders, it looks like the switch to Soldier 76 was just what they needed.
The big issue is you're going to have to be absolutely perfect the rest of the way if you're Cat Commanders to try and send this to a map number 4. You have to hold this point for the entirety of the 99% because they already got to 99, and then you have to win the next 2 points. This is going to be such an uphill battle for the Cat Commanders, but they have a couple ultimates to start getting this going.
Oh, Bosek! It was just going to be all disaster for them the second they got knocked up in the air by the pile driver. Now we're going to see what could potentially be done from Cat Commanders inside of this Kitsune Rush. It is the ultimate that needs to be the ultimate to save the day. Easy Sniper throwing out the pulse bomb, but no one is going to be stuck through it. Up in the air, the self-destruct to try and clear it out. And Jabberwock is going to be caught inside of it where perfection was needed. Cat Commanders to find it out. They had to do it for themselves. Potato Lord cannot survive. The self-defense matrix is going to eat everything, and it seemed like the impossible is being done by the Cat Commanders.
That it is, and the Wrecking Ball is going to get out. This adds the ability to possibly touch last second. Cat Commanders, however, going to have this EMP. I think they might be able to get themselves this point, Sam.
It's going to be a moment of desperation. Overtime has been ticked. Now it's fives. Right in with the sound barrier. Looking to close this map out, but Slaying Beast is going to answer kind with their own. And the EMP was just what the Cat Commanders ordered. It is no way that Lijiang Legion is going to be able to survive through it. The mines are not going to be able to do anything here whatsoever. Perfection here was needed from Cat Commanders, and they were able to deliver. Now they just need to do it a couple more times.
Excuse me? 2-3 picks? Oh, okay. That was close. I got a word there for a second. Okay.
The heart palpitations, right?
Yeah. I'm like, no, do not mess this up, Cat Commanders. They did take every single one of their ultimates that they're going to have. They're getting close to a Diva Bomb and a Kitsune Rush. Lijiang Legion is now going to make some swaps. They're going to match the Diva here. The Diva was just applying so much pressure onto the Wrecking Ball, especially with those micro missiles, as we now head to the next point. Cat Commanders get a hold of this defensively, so they finally get to put themselves in the favorable position for once.
And that's so good here for Cat Commanders to be able to gain that momentum and bring it back into their favor. But that loss of Eaton could potentially roll the momentum back for Lijiang Legion. They're going to be immediately pressured out. Bosek just can't get the killing blow, but the Foxes may be just what they need to get Lijiang Legion, Potato Lord, and Jabberwock out of the air. They find Easy Sniper, but Shadow Thief is going to respond in kind with a quick trade. It's a back and forth action. Atomic Man back up, looking to get rid of these nuisances in the sky once more, but the Potato Lord is just the aura that keeps on giving time and time again for Lijiang Legion. The percentage is still ticking up for Cat Commanders, but it looks like it's going to be around the 50% mark before they give it up.
That it is. Bosek does find the mercy, so can they come back here? The sound barrier, however, is committed, and that's just going to have to be a reset. I do think if you're Cat Commanders, you got to be feeling good about getting that sound barrier, because you have this looming EMP coming in from Eaton, so they don't have any kind of sustain for it.
Yeah, there must have been a little miscommunication on Fives' part. Maybe just a bit of a panic moment, but we're already seeing that Eaton is setting themselves up. They built the EMP. They're looking to take out Jabberwock too! That is going to be huge, especially if they want to fight it out with this EMP. Looking for another opportunity. They may just wait it out and see if they can get the kills or the picks that they need, especially without Jabberwock. Potato Lord is going to have so much difficulties.
Oh, the Ajax!
It's not going to be good enough. It's not going to be good enough. Slaying Beast. Like you said, the Ajax happened right as they were trying to put down the beat. It's just not going to happen. And Lijiang Legion is going to be able to hold on here.
Oh, that is an absolute disaster coming out from the Cat Commanders. That sound barrier could have been everything that they needed to be able to win that fight, and they just don't get it off in time. They have to hope Eaton can get a good EMP, but he's already found Potato Lord.
You gotta go in fast because Potato Lord is gonna be brought up by that Resurrect. 98% of the board brought into overtime. This is now or never for Eden. Cloaked and under the mysterious eyes of the shadows, but Slaying Beast has been eliminated by the Pulse Bomb. Lijiang Legion has to try and fight it out here. The self-destruct is gonna go down. Potato Lord looking for 1-5's got another Shadow Thief still in Baby Diva form. It's just gonna add insult to injury, squashing Atomic Man under the mech, and that is Lijiang Legion winning out here on Surabasa and in this series 3-0.
And now they punch their tickets to the mid-season finals, and they're going to be able to have that chance to get that match point in their favor for seeding when it comes to the playoffs. Congratulations to Lijiang Legion. You proved throughout this match that you were just a superior team. Being able to pull out such interesting compositions and strats was the name of the game for their success. I mean, that Sigma with the farm, with the Bash and Hanzo, I think back to University, it's just so perplexing. Like, it's gotta be just throwing teams off.
And I think it threw us off as well, Ray, because we were even like Hanzo, Bastion, okay, Lamau, what? Probably going to get wiped on the floor immediately and switch off to better DPS. But no, they proved us wrong on the desk and really came back in a very big way to take that University sub map 100-0. And it felt like Cat Commanders had still some fight left in them. But once you got into King's Row, it was a Lijiang Legion game pretty much the entire way through since then. Also, though, a little heartbreakingly, you know, we won't be able to find out what would have happened had Cat Commanders not lost their player. So a little bit of unfortunateness there goes on as well.
Couldn't agree with you more. Once again, congratulations. If we could take a look at that bracket maybe once again real quick, just so we can remind everyone who they're going to be playing. It is the Shadow Monarchs. So continue to watch out for that. I'm sure this is going to be casted somewhere on one of the CGL channels, CGL 1, CGL 2, or CGL 3. So keep your eyes out for that. And with that, I think that's going to pretty much wrap everything. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this amazing broadcast. Thank you, Sam, for casting this with me. And for everyone who was involved in the production, Hippie, Pluto, Unfeatured, and on the other broadcasts, we had Rhino and Mark and Zeuser. Thank you guys for all your hard work. We couldn't do any of this if it wasn't for you guys. And again, thank you for tuning in. And that's going to be it for us. Peace.
I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it.